Hello and welcome to a brand new Arseblog Arsecast right here on arseblog.com. How are you? Hope you're well. Thank you very much indeed, as always, for being here. We are we're not slap bang in the middle of a World Cup, but we're well and truly in the throes of a World Cup. At this point, I think every team has played a game. The 750 teams that are in this particular tournament, they've all played. There have been some big games, some big goals, some big scorelines, some surprising ones as well, and quite a bit of Arsenal interest along the way. So that's going to be the focus of this particular episode. A little bit later on, I'm going to be talking to Jacob from Poorly Drawn Arsenal. He's got a book out, which is commemorating our title win. You know, the one when Arsenal won the league in 25-26. He's put together a lovely little book on that. So we're going to talk about the book and give you a chance to win copies of the book. We'll also give you the winners of last week's competition, where we had copies of a fantastic photo zine from Lower Block to give away. So we'll give you the winners of that and give you the chance to win one of Jacob's books as well, and we'll tell you where you can pre-order it as well. But that's to come. That's to come. Now we're just going to get on with it. We're going to talk World Cup. We're going to talk Arsenal players. We're going to talk Declan Rice and lots more besides. And with me to do that this morning is Lewis Ambrose. Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning, Andrew. Have you been enjoying the World Cup so far? I
tell you what, I've been dipping in and out, you know. I haven't been gorging on the World Cup. I've been snacking on the World Cup, if that makes sense, which is maybe not a bad thing. I often like, you know, when you're a kid or you saw movies or you read books and they would talk about a feast. You know, after a great battle, they would all sit down and have a feast. And it always sounds great, but like a feast is too much. You know, you end up with indigestion, you end up with, you know, stomach issues, you feel bloated. It's too much. Whereas if you snack...
You don't want World Cup gout.
No, that's exactly it. I definitely do not want World Cup gout, and I won't be getting World Cup gout based on the watching that I've been doing. But I've been snacking here and there. I've been deliberately avoiding certain things. For example, I did not choose to watch Portugal versus the Democratic Republic of Congo yesterday because I don't need more Bernardo Silva in my life, or Cristiano Ronaldo, or indeed Pedro Neto, or perhaps a couple of other Portuguese players. Great result for DR Congo, but every time I look at it, I just think Dr. Congo. But I know that's not what it is. Up there with Dr. Nick and Doctor Who as the great doctors, of course. A great result for them, but no, I couldn't watch that, but I did obviously watch England last night, and I've been watching the sort of the games that are on at a reasonable hour. You know, in this part of the world, and you're obviously an hour ahead, given that you're in Berlin, so there's more time zone stuff for you to deal with. So, yeah, I've been enjoying what I've been seeing, generally speaking. So, yeah, what's your experience been like so far?
Yeah, I'd say relatively similar. If the World Cup were happening here, then I would have, or here, I say here, in Europe or in a sort of more friendly time zone, then I definitely would have World Cup gout because it's on, so you just put it on and you just watch football, 4 games back to back. But obviously, that's not so easy when some of the games are, as you say, kicking off at sort of 3 a.m., 4 a.m., even some of them, 1 a.m. It's maybe something I'd have watched a few years ago that is harder for me to try and stay up and watch now. Yeah. I'm more likely now, and if I'd have told myself that 5 or 6 years ago, to watch the games that are happening at 6 a.m. than the ones happening at 1 a.m., which is quite unbelievable to me, even as I say it out loud now. So yeah, similarly, I found that weird, that element, the sort of there's no football until, I think there's been a couple of days here in Germany where there's been a game at 7 p.m.
Yeah, we've had a couple of like 5 or 6 p.m. games. Yeah.
The whole day almost until the World Cup starts. But then in the mornings I've been trying to watch the BBC. I've got like a no spoilers highlights packages.
Cool. Yeah.
So like on bbc.co.uk / no spoilers, they have just the thumbnails don't give anything away, and it just says, Uzbekistan versus Colombia highlights. And it's like an 8-9 minute highlight package for every game. So I've been trying to watch those in the morning without knowing the scores for the games that are happening overnight here. And that's been quite pleasant to kind of watch the highlights. That doesn't really happen nowadays. When I was younger, you'd maybe watch Match of the Day and you'd not know all the scores and you'd not know who's going to score. But when you do know the scores, someone gets a corner and you're like, oh, I wonder if they're going to score from this one. So it's nice to watch the highlights, and every time there's a new clip, you don't know if it's going to end in a goal or not.
Yeah.
So I've managed to watch quite a few games like that. And then, obviously the friendlier times, the 6 o'clock, the 9 p.m, the occasional 10 p.m. or midnight game. I've managed to hold on and watch those, and it has been enjoyable. There's been a healthy number of upsets. There's been plenty of games with lots of goals.
Yeah.
I think a World Cup's nice when all the big stars do well as well. Like, I think it's a bit disappointing when there's a World Cup and, maybe Mbappe doesn't look good or Messi doesn't score.
Yeah.
I think it's quite nice that sort of the biggest names have pretty much turned up already, just one game in. And a healthy number of very competitive games and surprise scorelines. So I think all of that, in combination with not forcing myself to stay up or get up at silly times to watch all of it, has made it more enjoyable than I expected it to be so far.
I mean, one of the early kickoffs, one of the only early kickoffs, and I think there's a real inconsistency in the kickoff times, which is a little bit frustrating. Like, there should be a game every day at 5, at 8, at 11, whatever it is. It does feel like that, but because they're operating across 3 different time zones in North America, then that's obviously playing a part. So it is a little bit frustrating. But I did really enjoy the Spain game the other day. That was a 5 p.m. game here, and they were playing Cape Verde, and that was. I do think there are too many games. I think there are too many teams in it, and some of the fixtures, when you look at them, you're going, well, that's pretty uninspiring. I'm not going to stay awake. With all due respect to, Iran and New Zealand, that's not a game that's going to make me stay awake, right? But I think one of the things that we all kind of enjoy about football is the underdog getting a result, right? And it doesn't really happen in the Premier League anymore. It can't happen in the Premier League because some teams are worse than others, right? But they're not underdogs. You can't be in the Premier League and be like an underdog unless, let's say, you're, I don't know, fucking Rotherham or something, and somehow you just put together this team that makes it all the way through. I mean, the chances of that happening, of course, are really slim. But basically, even the team that's bottom of the table has spent hundreds of millions of pounds putting together their squad and putting together their team. So by no means could they be classified in any way as a traditional sort of underdog. Whereas Spain versus Cape Verde, there is a very, very definite underdog in that particular game. And for them to come away from that one with a point, with some of the defending, some of the goalkeeping, heroic stuff, really, it's a kind of story I think that any football fan can connect with. And I'm sure people have seen the story about the goalkeeper. He's 40 odd, and he's an Arsenal fan apparently, which is great. And the defender, Roberto Lopez, known as Pico Lopez, he's from Dublin. He's like literally from just down the road from me here, where I'm sitting right now. He's played his entire career in the League of Ireland, played for Bohemians, and now plays for Shamrock Rovers, who are managed by Stephen Bradley, a former Arsenal youth player. He discovered via LinkedIn that
he ignored it.
He ignored it, as you would, because, like, what if it's that Diary of a CEO wanker trying to get in touch with you? They'll be like, I'm not answering that. But he was sent a message on LinkedIn in Portuguese.
Message in Portuguese and ignored it because I don't speak Portuguese.
Yeah, and then like 9 months later, got another one and realized, hey, I could have just put that into Google Translate. But his dad, obviously, his mum is from Dublin. His dad is from Cape Verde, one of the Cape Verde Islands. And he is 33 years of age at a World Cup, 88th minute. There's Oyarzabal of Real Sociedad. The ball comes across to him, has a shot on goal, and he pulls off a piece of like Gabriel-esque defending, a brilliant block to stick it over the bar. And I mean, stories like that, that's kind of the dream we all have as like, I don't want to do him a disservice, right? But let's say as a footballer who isn't at the very, very highest level, to be able to play and represent your country of origin, of your dad's origin, on the biggest stage in the world, and to walk off that pitch with some of the players that Spain have and hold them to a draw. I mean, what a moment for that team and for that country. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like you say that with the Premier League, like you can't have a true David Goliath clash. Like it's just a David and a smaller David. Yeah. In pretty much 10. That's what 10 Premier League games are every weekend. There are some massive Davids, and there are some other smaller ones, and they play against each other.
Teeny tiny Davids, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. Like you say, a story like that, it's sort of Roy of the Rovers type stuff almost. Like you couldn't make it up. There's LinkedIn messages and suddenly, yeah, he's like you say, he's 33 and he's played his whole career in the League of Ireland, and then he's boiling Rodri's piss on the global stage. That's the dream.
Get that man the freedom of Dublin. Give him the key to the city. He's done it. Honestly.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I thought they were good value. Obviously, Spain dominated the ball and the shots, but I thought they were good in that one. I thought they were really good value for the draw as well. Like you said, the goalkeeper, 40-odd years old, and playing in the second tier in Portugal. And I think it's just all these players. You just don't think. You obviously grow up and dream of being a footballer who plays at the highest level, but you don't. I guess you get to a certain age and you don't think you'll ever have the chance to share a pitch with Lamine Yamal and Pedri and those guys. And
Mikel Marino.
Not just share a pitch with them, but then compete as well. Mm-hmm. I think after the Germany game at the weekend against Curacao, I think we all probably looked at that Spain Cape Verde game and expected something similar to happen.
Yeah.
And it's really good for the tournament, good for football, and as a fan, good for the feeling of watching it all, that didn't happen. And hopefully it's not the last one that we have like that. We've got Haiti playing Brazil in a couple of days. That could be another big shock if they were to sort of go toe-to-toe with them and hold them for as long as they can. And yeah, I think it's really great, these sorts of stories and results. And I don't love the new World Cup format. I think there are too many games. I think a real shame is that for Spain, for example, this isn't fatal. Like Spain can draw against Cape Verde and kind of as humiliating, embarrassing, whatever, like they obviously should win that game, but they can kind of shrug their shoulders and go, it doesn't matter, like we'll be fine anyway.
Do you think
there's a good chance teams get through with 3 draws in this group stage? However, it's nice to see the result happen, and even if I would like it to have a bit more weight to it, it doesn't take the shine off of the achievement for Cape Verde.
No, not at all. I mean, listen, we remember, of course, Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia in the first game of the last World Cup, and they went on to win it. I mean, do you think there is an element of that when it comes to this expanded tournament that, it can be presented in one way as sort of more inclusive and getting more teams in it, and you have these amazing moments for countries like Cape Verde and Curacao, who had their moment against Germany until such time as the hydration break broke their rhythm and Germany came storming back. There is, I think, a good argument to be made that for those players and for those countries, it's very special to be involved in a World Cup. But at the same time, the format is designed in a way that allows the big teams to get away with something if something like, what happened with Spain happens.
Well, we've had it. This is unfortunately the way that football keeps going. On that Curacao one, by the way, when you talk about them having that moment, I saw a clip as a German news reporter speaking to, I don't know if it was in Curacao or I'm guessing it was outside the stadium, speaking to a woman, like, draped in a Curacao flag after the game. And just the most ridiculous question this German reporter just asked, like, why do you think you couldn't win? Where do you think it went wrong today? And I just loved the response. The woman from Curacao laughed and said, didn't win? We scored a goal against Germany. We won.
Yeah.
We're at the World Cup and we scored a goal against Germany. We won.
Mm-hmm.
It's all relative, obviously. I just thought it was ridiculous.
Where did it all go wrong?
I mean, what do you think the problem was today? Why couldn't you win or something like that? She's like, are you serious? The country's the size of a small German town. This is probably where the answer lies. But yeah, we have seen football trend that way. Look at the Champions League, the expanded Champions League as well. Suddenly, Real Madrid, PSG over the last couple of years, different times, Manchester City have had horrible runs for 2, 3, 4 games in this Champions League 8-team phase where more teams go through than ever. And you just get more chances, a second, a third, a fourth chance if you do mess up, if you do have a really shocking performance, a really bad couple of results. I think the old Champions League group stage, if you started badly with kind of 2 defeats, you'd be fighting tooth and nail for the last 4 games to try and get the points to get over the line. And that's not the case anymore. And I think, unfortunately, that is what we have here with the World Cup. Germany have gone out in the group stage of the last 2 World Cups. I think over the recent years, the recent World Cups, so you go back sort of since the start of the century, and we've seen France as holders go out in the group stage. We've seen Spain as holders go out in the group stage, and then Germany again in 2018, then again in Qatar. I think it's a shame that these teams who have more resources, players at the absolute top level in terms of club football, now have the opportunity to mess up and not pay the price because it's, as long as you win 1 of your 3 games, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more, and I think maybe that will come into it. We said it's been a really good start to the World Cup. Maybe when you get to the end of the group stage, that lack of jeopardy will tell in terms of the entertainment factor in some of the games, and whether or not more upsets carry any weight or as much weight with them. So yeah, I would like to see it done differently, but FIFA want to make sure that all the big names are in the knockout rounds because then more people keep watching. That's all it is, right?
Well, I mean, as well, the fact that there are more games means there's more advertising and more sponsorships, and it's a bigger commercial package. So if you want to sponsor, then you're sponsoring however many games, 48 games, 90 games, 100 and what, I don't know how many games are going to be in this World Cup, but a lot. And obviously there are the sort of hydration breaks. I wanted to ask you before we talk about I want to ask about France, and I want to talk about England, obviously, because the Arsenal boys were involved to a large extent there. What has the German television experience been like when it comes to the hydration breaks? Because last night, RTE, to their shame, cut to an ad break halfway through the first half of the England-Croatia game when there was the hydration break, which, we keep calling hydration breaks. We should call them ad breaks because that's what they are, essentially. That's what their purpose is. They dress it up as well. The players need a drink. The weather, I think if the weather is sufficiently hot, it makes a lot of sense. When it's 19 degrees and drizzling, it does not make any sense to me whatsoever.
Or when they're playing in air-conditioned
indoor stadiums with the roof closed, it does not make any sense to me. And we can all understand why. So have German TV remained pure, or have they embraced FIFA's nefarious ways, Gianni Infantino's ongoing destruction of the game of football? Are they complicit in the madness like RTE are here in Ireland? And I say boo to them. Or have they sort of stuck? I mean, it's 3 minutes as well. You don't need 3 minutes.
Well, that's another thing. When you say we should refer to it as an ad break, if it was a truly for a moment to get a drink of water or whatever, it would be a 1 minute break. It's also now a tactical break for the managers, for the coaching staff. but at the same time, they've said when the goalkeeper goes down injured, you're not allowed to gather at the bench and get advice from the coaches.
Yeah,
you're not allowed these sneaky tactical breaks because the goalkeeper pretends he's got a bit of cramp or something.
Yeah,
you're allowed to have them halfway through every half.
Hurry up taking that throw in because we want the game to move. We want the game to be fast. We want it to be exciting. Hang on a minute. Here's a 3-minute break for no fucking good reason.
Young people
whatsoever.
nowadays, Andrew, they don't have the attention span to watch 90 minutes of football, but let's stick an extra break in the middle of each half.
That drives me fucking mad.
Yeah.
I know there are issues, right? And attention spans and all that kind of... I routinely see young people at games of football watching the 90 minutes with little or no problem. At games or also watching on TV. I think this idea that the new generation of football fans the game needs to be modified for them. I think it's insulting to everybody else, also insulting to them. It's just crazy. Yep. It is crazy. Anyway, yep. German TV,
how
German
they been
TV,
doing? They've kind of taken a half approach to it, I would say. So it's it's like, I don't know what's going on in the UK. I know that ITV aren't showing adverts. No. I know BBC don't show adverts anyway, but I don't know if they're cutting away to something else. So in Germany, there's been maybe during a couple of games, they won't show any during the first game, and in the second game they'll show not an advert during the first half, but the broadcaster will be like, download our app, with a little cutaway scene, download our app so you can catch all the highlights of the games you miss. So there's a little highlights package on the screen, or
sure.
They're advertising their own app. It's not like adverts.
Yeah.
Which is I don't like it. It's a slightly different thing, but I still don't like it. I want the camera to remain on the football pitch for 90 minutes of football. They've found a sort of halfway house, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it during every break. But isn't. I mean, I was watching Qatar against Switzerland. And I think it was the second half, and Qatar are a goal down, and all 22 players are back on the pitch about 2 minutes into the 3-minute break. Or 2.5 minutes, and the goalkeeper has a free kick going outside the box, the Qatari goalkeeper, and he's standing there waiting to take it, and the ref wouldn't let him take it until the 3 minutes were up. It's player welfare, but the players have gone, they're hydrated, they're back on the pitch, that all 22 of them are standing there waiting to continue playing, and the ref had his arm in the air for a good 20 seconds. No, not yet, we're not ready yet. I mean, if you needed any more evidence that this is not about the players, or the football at all,
no, it's not, and I think it is a bad development in the game. I know I read somewhere this week that UEFA have said that is not something that we will do in our tournaments. I do think there was a break in the Champions League final, wasn't there, in both halves? A little bit of a drinks break.
Was that to do with the temperature?
I think it was maybe to do with the temperature, and that's I get it, but this is something different, something a little more pernicious.
You're I think you said already as well. I've got nothing when it's 30 odd degrees, and the ref sensibly, 25 minutes into the game, wants to blow the whistle, point to the benches, and then the players can quickly go and grab a bottle and then get back on the pitch and start whenever they're all ready again. They've all had a bit of something to drink, a few seconds to catch their breath, whatever. I've got no problem with that. I think it's absolutely fine. Mandating it to last 3 minutes, no matter what the weather is, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It's bad. And I think we need to call it out. We need to keep calling it out because, unless we do that, it becomes normal. And if it becomes normal, it becomes just part of the game. And we do not need football to go that direction. 45 minutes is not really a long time. You can manage 45 minutes without a fucking advert.
It's interesting to see those sort of momentum shifts as well. I can't imagine a lot of the players, I imagine, are quite unhappy with, you're on top.
Yeah.
When you're battering a team, but you can't quite, you're creating chances, they're penned in their own box, and then it's half time and you're like, I wish it wasn't half time. I wish if they'd give us 5 more minutes, we'd about to get that goal. Like that's now happening in both halves of every single game. On the flip side, obviously, like some of those games in the past 10 years when we've been at Anfield or at Manchester City, and you're kind of holding on for dear life against these waves of Jurgen Klopp attacks. So I'd have loved a break in the half to interrupt them. Yeah, but it's not fair. It's not how it should be played. No. And if you've earned that momentum and you're pinning a team back and you're coming with wave after wave of attack, knocking on that door, it doesn't feel sort of fair in a sporting sense to then have like an artificial break that stops all of that. No, and then it shifts completely.
I agree. Let's talk France for a minute, because obviously I think when you look at a squad in terms of pure talent, at least pure attacking talent, they're the one that really sort of stand out to me. And the first half against Senegal wasn't brilliant. It all felt a bit Didier Deschamps. And then France did away with Deschamps. Didier away with Deschamps? I don't know. Anyway, they sort of played with a lot more freedom. Obviously, they moved Mikel Arteta into a slightly different position, and he's a player. I think many football fans, whether they were Arsenal fans or not, coveted when he was at Crystal Palace, because he's just so exciting and so good, and he was really instrumental in the way that they pulled the strings. And there was one where, not for the first time, Kylian Mbappe just didn't quite get there. The touch wasn't brilliant. It was a brilliant run and pass from Olise, but Olise provided a pass and Mbappe scored a goal, and it sort of opened up a little bit there. Were you impressed by second half France in that game?
By second half France, yeah. I thought, as you said, Olise. There's always this problem, if you like, at international level, when you're trying to squeeze your best players in. Mm-hmm. And having Ousmane Dembélé play kind of behind Kylian Mbappe doesn't look like a natural fit to me. I think if you watch PSG, and I could easily imagine Dembélé playing with Mbappe if, say, Mbappe was out wide, but he's not. He's playing through the middle. Dembélé's also in the middle of the pitch. It's not quite the combination that maybe France would want it to be with those two players. Olise is, put him on the wing, put him centrally. He's a player who creates and makes things happen. For other players and facilitates that and looks for the movement of others. And I think that's more what suits Kylian Mbappe, definitely, as a sort of that service. Elise is fantastic. He's been fantastic for Bayern Munich the last couple of years, this season especially. And Mbappe, if the first half was a disappointment, the second half screamed, excuse me, don't forget how good I am, please.
Excusez-moi.
Give me the ball and watch me make things happen. It really looked like to me, a superstar player kind of taking over and deciding, I've had enough of this.
Sure.
And I'm going to make sure we win this game. And I'm annoyed that first half wasn't good. I know what you're going to be saying about me, and you will not be saying it come full time. Mbappe's had a weird couple of years since joining Real Madrid, and there's a weird, I think, vocal minority at Real Madrid who don't seem particularly happy with him. And I understand that he can frustrate with the work rate and all that, but the goal record, he scored 42 goals in 40 something games for Real Madrid this season in all competitions. Like, it's not. It's one thing if he's not scoring goals. If he's not working hard and he's not tracking back and then he's not scoring goals, it's one thing. But when he's scoring, a goal a game, I find the complaints a little bit surprising. And I mean, he turns it on whenever it's the World Cup. That's personally, that's one of those things that I'm very happy to see at a World Cup. Like, I want to see the best of Kylian Mbappe at a World Cup, with the exception of one Portuguese man in particular. I do not buy into the sort of Schadenfreude when the best players in the world or biggest players in the world struggle to perform at a World Cup. It's the World Cup. I'm sitting down. I want to see the best teams and the best players play their absolute best and enjoy that. I think it's just the size of the stage sort of demands that, and the fact that these games, more than league games certainly, and a lot of Champions League games, these games will be in history forever. And looked back on. Mbappe is one of the best players in the world, and I very much enjoyed the fact that when it's a World Cup, he turns up and gives his best football. It feels right that he does, and the first half didn't look like that. The second half, he, as I say, I felt like he took control of the game to a large extent. And
2 goals and an assist.
2 goals and an assist. Almost won a penalty that then...
I mean, I think that's a penalty. I'm sorry.
I saw a lot of differing opinions on this. I did enjoy a little bit the sort of like the absurdity of the ref going in, because I thought it was a penalty too. I think at the very least it's obstruction. Like, he can't keep sprinting into the box because the guy slides across him, even if you don't think there's much or enough contact there. But I did enjoy, the absurdity almost of the ref going over to check the screen, and then I'm watching it thinking, oh, it will definitely be a penalty now then. And then he just goes, oh, it's not a corner because he didn't touch the ball, so I guess I'm going to give a goal kick now.
Yeah, he said something about how the attacker initiated the contact, and I'm like, well, I think that's a generous interpretation from a Senegal perspective anyway. I think that would have been a penalty. But look, you mentioned the biggest players in the world and the best players in the world, and Mbappe is obviously one of those, and he's on 2 goals and an assist.
14 goals in 15 World Cup games, and sort of right behind, obviously it was close as record. Messi's matched it with that hat-trick against Algeria.
Well, I was going to come to Messi, and a slight aside on that, I think one of the things that I have enjoyed in this World Cup are the goals from distance, and we all love one that flies in the top corner, and we've seen quite a few of those. Obviously Mbappe, Messi's first goal was like, what the fuck? The Austrian guy scored one the other night. There've been a few, from distance, which I think are always really enjoyable. But Messi, listen, I'm not sure that Zinedine Zidane's son is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen. Just throwing that out there. Nevertheless, Lionel Messi doing what he does, that first goal was amazing. The second goal, he's on the spot, keeper spills it, and he tucks home the rebound. The third goal is just the most Messi goal you've ever seen in your life, where I'm sure I've said this before, is that sometimes you see a player score a goal and they make it look so easy, you go, why don't you just do that all the time? And actually, Lionel Messi is one of the players who does that all the time. There's a sort of superpower, pace and precision in terms of the finishing that he has, that he makes look so simple. And you're looking at it going, maybe the goalkeeper should save that. And then you look at it again and you go, actually, no.
He's actually leathered it right into the corner.
There's no way a goalkeeper is saving that. And the best goalkeepers in the world, and across Europe and in Spain, have been trying to keep out Lionel Messi shots for years and years, and not done very well with that, But amazing hat-trick for him at 38 years of age, which is obviously just the right side of, where you're still effective as a player, regardless of your career history. Yeah,
he turns 39 during the next week or the week after, during the tournament at some point he turns 39.
Until then, though, he remains 38.
He does. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
I was really looking forward to seeing Messi at this tournament, because I think, like a lot of people, especially in Europe, this is the longest in 20 years that I've basically gone without seeing Lionel Messi. I've seen clips of, oh, look at this goal he scored, look at this pass, this assist. You'll wake up in the morning after an MLS game and you'll maybe see something flash across your screen and see a goal that he scored the night before. But I haven't sat down and watched Lionel Messi play football for longer than any period in the last 20 years. And I didn't know whether you'd see just sort of little glimpses of the talent and there was a lot more than a glimpse of the talent the other day, and why wouldn't there be? For 20 years, Lionel Messi has defied everything that any footballer before him ever managed to achieve, and now he's 38, and as with everything else, time doesn't seem to have had the same effects on him that it might have on others. You watch, Mohamed Salah in the Premier League this season, and I think if you take that position in football over the last 10 years, Mohamed Salah's the only one, and maybe Arjen Robben at times at his best, that can come anywhere close to looking a bit like Lionel Messi in their very, very best moments. And Mohamed Salah doesn't look like his best anymore, and you could tell that over the course of the last year. Lionel Messi obviously isn't at his best anymore, but still manages to have those decisive moments in a World Cup match. Not just one or two of them, but three. I was really heartened to wake up and see that he'd scored his hat trick, and I couldn't wait. Like, there's something, I don't know. There's something about Messi that just brings out like a childish excitement. I saw that Messi had scored, and I couldn't wait to watch the goals and watch him stroll around a football pitch and, as you say, so casually plant the ball into the corner over and over again, we've watched so many times over the past couple of decades.
A great start for him, obviously, and for Argentina, and a very good start for England. It was a bit of a mad game, this one, I thought, last night. First half in particular was quite odd. England have the biggest Arsenal contingent at the World Cup, with 4 players: Declan Rice, Noni Madueke, Bukayo Saka and Eberechi Eze. 2 of those started last night. Declan Rice, as you would expect. Noni Madueke on the right-hand side. Bukayo Saka's minutes are being managed. There's also potentially Morgan Rogers, who could be an Arsenal player before the summer is out as well, as part of this England squad, and he came on. Listen, there was a lot going on in this game. Madueke won a penalty. Luka Modric, not really aware of where he was, tried to clear the ball, kicked Madueke instead. Harry Kane stepped up and it was saved. I like this quote this morning. I saw this where he said, when I watched clips of the goalkeeper, I saw he likes to move early, so I knew there was a chance that if I did the stutter run-up, he would come off his line.
All part of the plan.
All part of the plan. Yeah, he's going to come off his line, save it, and then I'm going to do him second time around. Listen, I can see that the goalkeeper. That's. I think if you do the stutter run up, the goalkeeper should be given some leeway. I know there was another element to this as well, because I think it's Gvardiol who encroaches and clears the ball, and maybe that's part of why it was retaken. But I do think if you are a penalty taker and you do the stutter because you want the goalkeeper to move, I think there should be some leeway for the goalkeeper to come off his line a little bit. It feels harsh to me that if you're like 2 inches off your line because the penalty taker's done a little whoa to see if you're going to move, and then you move, like that's what he wants you to do, right? So I think you do away with the coming off the line thing if you do the stutter run up. That said, there is a part of me that just thinks hit the ball in the bottom corner as hard as you can. Victor, it's very strange to see Harry Kane do that because he doesn't normally take penalties like that.
Yeah, he's kind of started doing it at Bayern Munich. The starter, he's like introduced that. But
do you think it's because he's bored? He gets so many fucking penalties.
I wondered when he started doing it. He scores all of them. So why are you changing your approach or your technique? Like, it's not like he's changed it because he had a bad penalty record. He scores basically every single penalty that he gets. He has an incredible record from the penalty
He's
spot.
scored 108 penalties in his career. That is ridiculous.
That is
absurd.
Too many.
That is too many.
That can't be far off like an average of 10 a season.
I'm guessing. Because we're going back as far as, actually, I'm looking at Transfermarkt right now. So it's going back as far as, like, they include one in the 2010 European Under-17 Championships. But we can forget about that. But even if you go back as far as 2014-15 in the Premier League. He took his first Premier League penalty in 2015, in January 2015.
Yeah, so it's pretty much took all of those in the last 11 years.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
So it's 10, I guess including shootouts as well. But still, 10 penalties a year is crazy. Look, I don't know why he does the run up now, because he, as I say, he had an incredible record. He has an incredible record from the penalty spot. I do agree that it's like the offsides when it's the old toenail offside or whatever. It's obviously you're going to have the rule with the line and the goalkeeper. It doesn't matter that he's only just off his line, but it was so marginal that it did kind of feel a little bit harsh. I just think with penalties, I don't understand rules that weigh them even more in the favour of the attacker.
Yes.
A penalty is an 80% chance of scoring a goal. It's really hard for a goalkeeper already. The punishment often doesn't fit the crime. Noni Madueke is trying to control the ball in midair on the edge of the box with about 15 players between him and the goal when Modric makes minor contact. The punishment does not fit the crime that foul leads to an 80% chance to score a goal. And then with the encroachment, the goalkeeper off the line thing, you're then making it even harder for the goalkeeper to sort of fight those odds. I don't know how you fix that, fix those things. Maybe you just outlaw the stutter run-ups or something, and tell, if like you said, if you want to have the goalkeeper on the line, then ban the stutter run-ups completely and say that's not allowed.
Didn't they do that in the past, where players were running and stopping, and it has to be one motion?
Yeah, they said you can't completely stop, but that doesn't ever happen. A player never completely freezes halfway through their run up, right? They they kind of continue to just slowly move forward as they do that sort of thing. How Pogba used to take a 20-meter walk up to his penalties, basically, and start miles away from the ball and just slowly walk towards the ball and then roll it towards one of the corners. It's he's not stopping, but it's also not really in the spirit of how you're supposed to take a penalty. I don't think. I don't know. It felt harsh. The foul was already. It's a foul. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
But to get such a big chance of scoring a goal for such a kind of minor infringement, and then to get the chance to retake the penalty after it's missed, did feel a little bit unfair. Yeah. But I also don't think, in the grand scheme of things, as mad as the game was as well, I don't think it would have made much difference. Croatia came back well after conceding those first two goals, but I thought, generally speaking, England were clearly the much better side.
I agree.
This is a very old Croatia. Maybe the team as a whole is not old, but sort of the star players of the previous tournaments when they've gone really far. Perisic, Modric, Kovacic came off the bench. These are all players very much at the end of their careers. Now Modric and Perisic especially. So I don't think England would have struggled over the course of the 90 minutes to get the result anyway, in all likelihood. But they obviously got a little bit of help from, I guess from the goalkeeper, because the ref technically was just doing what he had to do.
Yeah, Arsenal players involved, and 3 assists, I guess. Madueke won the penalty. Declan Rice got an assist. The idea that one of Europe's most prolific strikers remains completely unmarked in your box from a corner seems a bit odd to me from a tactical perspective. Not that I'm Johnny Tactics, but I would seek to mark Harry Kane from a corner if I were the manager of Croatia. But what do I know? Bukayo Saka off the bench set up a goal for Marcus Rashford, very nicely taken goal, which made it 4-2. And I think on the basis of the second half display in particular, England were well and truly on top. The third goal, I think the Croatian defence can have a little bit of another little bit of introspection, because the defender, who I think should just go across and block Bellingham, he decides to just run away from him and track Madueke. I think you've got to take the gamble that if the ball gets to Madueke, maybe the keeper makes a save, and you as the defender can block Bellingham. He finished it very nicely, obviously, into the far corner. But Declan Rice is a point of discussion this morning because he came off. Thomas Tuchel said, Declan had some unusual ball losses and I saw a bit of discomfort. Then I asked him, he pointed to his lower back and upper hamstring. That he feels discomfort. I didn't want to take any risks, and if I take Declan off, which I never want to do, it was the moment to protect him. Declan reassured me at the end, it's good. I know the discomfort, we'll take care of it. It's nothing big to worry about. But if Declan Rice is signalling, I've got to come off because my back is sore and my hamstring is sore, listen, I know there are England fans who will be listening to this. My concern is not so much about what it might mean for England in the World Cup. My concern is obviously what it might mean for Arsenal going into the start of next season and, sort of broadening this out. To what extent do you think it's something Mikel Arteta has got to think about very, very carefully when he thinks about how next season starts for Arsenal? Because potentially England could go a long way in this tournament because they've got a lot of good players. They've got a smart manager. They've got a very good, as much as it pains me to say it, they've got a very good goal scorer up front, right? So the potential for them to go a long way in this tournament is obvious. I looked at Declan Rice's numbers, the minutes he's played, basically 5,000 minutes this season between Arsenal and England, which is the equivalent of 55 90-minute games. And I would posit that Declan Rice does 90 minutes in a different way from many other players in terms of the energy he expends and the ground he covers and how committed he is and how far he runs and just how involved he is the whole way. So I think 55 90s for Declan Rice is it's more than, let's say, 55 for, I don't know, Lionel Messi, right? Who isn't running around the pitch, despite the quality he still has. So if he's kind of struggling already after one game in this World Cup, does that make Mikel Arteta think about what he has to do in the transfer market and what he has to do with the composition of his midfield? Because Rice is fundamental to this Arsenal team. I don't know that you go out and you get another Declan Rice, but you've got to find a way to give him and some of the other players, obviously, Madueke, for example, didn't play anywhere near as much in terms of minutes, so it's not the same. His season might be as long, but the minutes are not the same. But Rice was somebody who was on the pitch every time he could be on the pitch for Arsenal last season. And we might have to face a situation where in the early part of next season, we have no choice as a football club but to give him a rest and to ease him back into action carefully in order to get the best out of him between whenever that happens and the end of May, but also to make sure that whatever he's feeling doesn't become chronic, right?
Yeah, Arsenal are going to have to, one way or another, at some point next season, play well without Declan Rice. For me, that goes... It's just self-explanatory. This will not be able to continue forever, that he just can play that much football. It's an insane amount of football. I think we've seen Noni Madueke, by the way, played the Club World Cup last. Obviously didn't play every minute as well, but he also had the Club World Cup last summer. I think if we're talking of England going far in this World Cup, then Arsenal might have to start next season without Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke and Eberechi Eze. Regardless of how many minutes they play at the World Cup, they're still training every day. They'll need a break, all of them. So
Madueke, by the way, has 2,250 minutes less on the pitch for Arsenal than Declan Rice.
Yeah, the minutes obviously,
season.
In terms of injuries and legs. Yeah. But I think, there's still mental fatigue and
of course,
he's not on holiday, right?
Yeah.
I think if you look at Premier League Player of the Year, Bruno Fernandes, I think over the course of the season played 15, if you take the minutes, 15 full games less than Declan Rice.
Right.
It's an insane amount of football that he's played, and he's a player who, as you say, gives everything all the time. I remember sort of going back like 10 years now, when we lost on the opening day of the season to West Ham, and Alexis Sanchez was on the bench that day and came on.
Yeah.
And he'd played and I think won the Copa America with Chile that summer. So had not had much of a break at all. I think sort of wasn't expected to play against West Ham, did play against West Ham. But Arsenal had, and he had a really slow start to that season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're looking at that too. If you aren't going to give these players a break or ease them in at the start of next season, if whoever, it could be someone else, right? It could be Zubimendi and Marino at the end of the World Cup. Like, someone's going to have to play. If we get like a Spain-England final, someone's got to play in the Arsenal midfield in August. Marino, Rice, Zubimendi, Kai Havertz could go far. Martin Odegaard could get to sort of the latter stages, who knows, at this competition. Arsenal are going to have to, I think, lean into getting as many minutes in the first weeks of the season as possible into players like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ricardo Calafiori, who haven't had to deal with this workload in the summer on top of all the football that we played. Maybe not those individuals, but as a club that we played last season. I think that's going to be crucial. It's going to be, hopefully, by then, Yuri and Timber or Ben White are okay, and then you've got a couple of players there at the back who haven't played at this World Cup.
Do you think it might influence?
I think we're going to have to figure out how to have a midfield that doesn't include Declan Rice for spells, and maybe with Marino, right? For example, maybe you say Declan Rice takes it easy for the first 2-3 weeks of next season, and we play with Marino, and then Rice comes back into the team, and Marino can then have his 2-3 weeks rest, if you want to put rest in inverted commas, while Rice gets back up to speed, and then Marino gets the opportunity to. But it's going to be difficult. Arsenal are going to have another busy summer. We think you're going to bed new players in. You want them to link up and create relationships on the pitch with their new teammates, and then that's going to be hard too if you've got a new player, Declan Rice, partnered with someone else in midfield, but then they're not really playing together much until September. Then you've got a sort of a bedding in period for that relationship, that partnership, or on the left wing, if there's a new left winger and Rice is playing that left 8 role, and the link up between the two of them, the more that you don't put these players in August, you might have fresher players in September, but also players who have to get up to speed with each other in September or October. So it's going to be an interesting challenge for a manager who, over the last few years, one of the biggest criticisms and questions has been, how well does he rotate? How well does he change the team from week to week? How well does he not just stick with the thing that works, but trust players who are maybe on the fringes of the side? That's going to be a big thing, I think, at the start of next season. If, England, Spain, Germany with Kai Havertz, if they go as far as we think some of those teams
France,
will go.
Brazil, potentially as well with Saliba, Gabriel. I mean,
in Saliba's case, talk of him playing through a knock at the World Cup. I'm kind of already thinking that we won't see him at the start of next season because he'll have to, finally have that dealt with. Yeah,
maybe so. And listen, there's this sort of weird, sort of counterintuitive in a way, because the best players, from the established footballing nations, right, are at the World Cup with their countries for the most part. But maybe it's a summer where, if you're looking at bringing players in, you want to try and bring in players who haven't been overburdened by a long season, then a World Cup, and who then need holidays. Like, you could sign a player at the end of the World Cup. As soon as the World Cup's over, you can have the deal done. It's all like, let's say, just Morgan Rogers, for example. And imagine that deal is done pretty soon after the World Cup is done, and it's announced. He still needs 2-3 weeks holidays.
I think Morgan Rogers, by the way, played even more minutes than Declan Rice over the past couple of seasons for Aston Villa. Like, you think obviously they won the Europa League, and you think of Morgan Rogers, and you think maybe he's not playing that much when they're playing the Europa League games.
He played as many minutes.
Games. He played 15 times. He started 12 Europa League games this season. So I think he's who scored have and I think sometimes their sort of definition of the season is a little bit wonky depending on where international fixtures were placed and stuff. Who scored have Morgan Rogers was making 67 appearances for England and for Aston Villa.
Oh, for England and Villa, yeah. 55 domestic appearances for Rodgers with 4,564 minutes. Declan Rice, 55 domestic appearances, or domestic and continental appearances for Arsenal, 4,456 minutes.
So he played like 5 full games more than Declan Rice. And if you're expecting Arsenal to go into next season and, if Arsenal do go do get a deal done, if they do sign Morgan Rogers for argument's sake, you're asking a player to come in and perform quickly with a big price tag, and he will have even more football in his legs than Declan Rice does now.
Goodness.
I mean, if we're going to have to, I think you can definitely, like you say there, make an argument for next season. The start of the season, it's going to be important to rely on players who haven't played at this World Cup. That's why I mentioned your Calafiori, Lewis Skelly, and signing very, very gifted players, but who have also played at the World Cup is going to be tricky when August comes around, I think, if we're looking to get off to a good start to the season.
Well, it's a challenge for Mikel Arteta, and it's going to be a challenge not just for Mikel Arteta, though, for many managers and for many teams, who've got players at this World Cup. So we'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, there's still quite some distance to go in this tournament because of all the games and because of all the teams involved. But for now, we better leave it there. Lewis, thank you very much indeed, as always.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you very much indeed to Lewis. You can find him on Blue Sky. He is at lgambrose.bsky.social, at lgambrose.bsky.social. Now, on last week's show, we gave you the opportunity to win a photo zine from Lower Block. It's called Arsenal Champions Again 25-26. Packed with colour photographs of the parade and all the celebrations, the fortnight of celebrations around Arsenal winning the Premier League title. They're by photographer Orlando Gilly. And Lower Block gave us a couple to give away. I asked you as a question, how many people are on the front cover? The answer was 3. And the winners are, as chosen by the random number generator, Mike Abeta and Paul O'Murhu. So I will I'll drop you guys an email. We'll get your details. And then we'll get those prizes sent out to you. The rest of you, if you want to order it, you will find a link in the show notes. And one of the things that I've been meaning to do since we won the title, but I've been a bit laid low. I've been sick, right? So I haven't really had the energy to do it, but I'm trying to put it together right now, is to collate the best independent and unofficial merchandise that's celebrating our title win. So it's badges and books and posters and t-shirts and whatever else is out there. I'm going to put a post together on Arseblog.com, so you can have a look at those things and you can decide, I quite like that, I'll buy one of those, because you can never get too much of Arsenal winning the title, if you ask me. But one of the things that's out there, or will be out there very soon, is a book by our good friend Jacob from Poorly Drawn Arsenal. He's put together a book commemorating our title win with many of his drawings and little bits and bobs in there, and I'm delighted to say he's with us this morning. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure to have you on again, and obviously it's a fun time. It's been a fun time. How have you been enjoying it over the last month?
Yeah, still definitely enjoying it. Still probably on cloud 9. Pinching myself, I guess is the way to say it.
Sure.
Like, having a tough time believing that it all happened, but it did, which is great.
It definitely all happened, and you have put together a book which is called
After Review.
You don't have the soundtrack of Chris Kavanagh, but it's After Review, the 25-26 Arsenal season. And this, I'm going to hand over to you to sort of explain what the book is. And we've got a couple of copies to give away. We'll give people details of how they can win that in a moment. But what is this book? And, what was it like putting it together and sort of getting everything together over the course of, the last few weeks, bringing together everything that's happened over the season?
Yeah, I'm realizing now that you played that little audio clip, what I should have done is, those like birthday cards where you open up and it plays a little bit of music? What I should have done is you open it up and it just says after review.
Yeah.
So apologies that I didn't think of that beforehand.
Okay. Well,
next time.
Next time.
So it's a book with 60 plus drawings from this season, featuring probably a drawing from almost every match. There are matches where I was like, no, not drawing that.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Like, I think theoretically, I guess we were in a final around January, February. I've completely blocked that out of my mind. That's not in the book. But yeah, so it's just a series of 60 drawings. Not a lot of words in there because I know write so good. But yeah, it's just little doodles that I did over the course of, the entire season. Good and bad is in there. Mm-hmm. And then there are drawings that have not, this is a weird way of saying it, but released to the public. There are drawings like specifically that are in this book that I did not post anywhere.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just a little way of hopefully commemorating the season in my little weird brain.
Yes. In your own, well, I was going to say inimitable, but I guess some people could imitate it. Is that's the right word? I know talk so good either this morning. But I love some of the details, obviously, having seen it, and I'm not going to give anything away. But there are, small details in some of the drawings which are great, which I think capture the essence of some of the players that are involved in those small moments. And they must be kind of fun to do as well, little, I guess, sort of Easter eggs within the drawings themselves that are probably there just to amuse you as much as anything else, but which are obviously, fun to catch when you see them.
Yeah, I would say at least 90% of this book is just to make myself laugh. Whenever I post something online that has somebody has like a tattoo on them or something, everyone's always looking for the little details in the tattoo, because I love putting little tiny things in details in tattoos. For an example, you might know that there was a player that, let's say, played their butt off this season, really, put their tush in motion. Anyway, the tattoo on this player's tush says, "Oh my God, my shorts fell off. Do you think people have noticed?" I'll just stand here and hope that no one has noticed.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the stuff doing the rounds this morning, but literally Ecuador fans with fake butts and Hincapié on the back of their shirts. This has gone like, I guess none of us would choose, generally speaking, unless we are, the more outgoing and performative type of people. None of us would choose necessarily to display our arses to the world. So Piero Hincapié is going to have to live with this a little bit. Did you see the clip of the guy who gave him a picture to sign? It's an illustration of Hincapié with his shorts around his
and he's taking
thighs.
it remarkably well. And I guess at that point you kind of have to.
Yeah, exactly. Do you do a cease and desist? Try and take those images down off the internet, or do you just say, "Hey,
you copyright your butt"?
Yeah.
No one else can show my butt on the internet.
You've got me in my prime. Thank goodness I did this at 23 years of age and not 53 years of age, where it becomes a less impressive thing to look at, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there as well. So, and this is sort of like. I don't want to say like just coffee table book, but it is something you can sort of flick through, and it's just really nice to add to your collection. And I'm sure people have got poorly drawn merchandise, but this is a really lovely way to commemorate the Premier League win.
I appreciate you saying nice words that I can't say about myself, just because I mental block there. But yeah, it's intended as like almost like a picture book for adults, which I guess is what a coffee table book is. But yeah, it's just, a drawing for every game. Hopefully I did the scores right on every page for that. So like you flip, you see a drawing from the game, and then there's a score in the corner. And then there's a little blurb at the end of something that I wrote as like a thank you. But yeah, it's just intended for like a quick look through, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah, so. Exactly. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? A keepsake or a memento of what was obviously an incredibly enjoyable season in the end. And I think, in the end, yes, you've certainly captured some of the moments which, put us on edge a little bit. But, we got there, unfortunately, not all the way there as Budapest showed, but I think it was enough for most of us. I'll give people details of how they can pre-order the book and also win a copy of the book after we speak. But World Cup fever, have you caught World Cup fever, given that you are obviously based in the US, or is it sort of passing you by a little bit? Do you need a break from football? You're not doing any poorly drawn World Cup stuff?
I'm not doing any poorly drawn World Cup stuff. I was trying to take a moral stand and being like, I'm not going to watch a damn thing. FIFA's a corrupt organization. And Andrew, I failed day one. I was immediately sucked in. I'm still like, obviously it's like that thing where you're like, it's like a cigarette where you're like, this is bad for me, but it feels good at the same time.
Sure.
Not that I've ever smoked, but
I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm viewing the World Cup. It's kind of got me wrapped up in it all, but I feel bad that every time that I do it. I'm kind of counteracting that by reading a book by, I think, Jonathan Wilson about the World Cup history.
Okay.
Which is really fascinating. And I didn't realize, I guess, how, it's a book about how political the World Cup actually is and how governments have used the World Cup to, push their agendas or even just kind of cover up the bad things that they're doing. So I feel a little bit better reading the book at the same time that I am watching the World Cup, because I'm like, there might be things we're covering up here, which as an American I can say there are definitely things that we're covering up here. So
yes, well, I mean, at least they're keeping true to the history of the tournament and everything else.
I would say it's definitely in line with the rest of the World Cup history.
So what are we going to get from you in terms of poorly drawn Arsenal stuff over the course of the summer? I'm guessing the new signings as and when they arrive, we'll see them unveiled and get your take on those.
Yeah, I'm taking a bit of a break from the actual drawing of it, just enjoying the World Cup in my weird way that I am. And then I'll probably come back as soon as we start getting new signings. I usually do like a kit review. The kit reviews are entirely based on how easy the kit is to draw. So if you're looking for like a fashion sense, things like that, probably not your guy. But I'll probably start doing some kit reviews once the kits start coming out, and then kick off when the season kicks off, which is kind of around the corner. As soon as the World Cup's done. So
not that far away. It's 22nd of August, I think, and we're on the 18th of June. So really only 8 or 9 weeks until the new season kicks off.
The schedule comes out.
Soon. Yes, tomorrow, Friday, I think the Premier League fixtures are out. So no rest for the wicked, or no rest for you either, Jacob, but thank you so much for being with us.
You can call me wicked, that's okay.
We could make a movie about that, but I don't have the singing voice for it, unfortunately. Yes, thank you for donating the couple of books as well for prizes. I'll give people details of that, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, great seeing you, Andrew.
Thank you very much indeed to Jacob. And to get more details on the book, to pre-order it, all you've got to do is go to poorlydrawnarsenal.com/zine. That's ZINE. So poorlydrawnarsenal.com/zine. The link is also in the show notes. We have a couple of copies to give away, thanks to Jacob. And if you would like to enter the competition, all you've got to do is tell me who is on the front cover of the book, which is called
After Review.
So there you go. Just tell me who's on the front cover. Email your answer, please, to competition@arseblog.com. That is competition@arseblog.com, and I'll give you the winners on next week's show. Right, I'm going to leave it there for now. I just want to say thank you very much indeed, as always, to all of you for being here, for listening, for downloading, for subscribing, for supporting everything that we do. If you'd like to get on board our Patreon, it's patreon.com/Arseblog. But for now, take it easy, enjoy the World Cup, keep snacking, don't gorge, don't feast, don't overindulge. Just have the, little nibbles here and there. It's better for you. James and I will have an Arsecast extra for you early next week. For now, though, take it easy, and we will catch you on the next one.